Hello, my sweet friends. I am back. I have chapter 6 from Percy Jackson's Sea of Monsters all opened up and ready to go. This chapter is called Demon Pigeons Attack. The next few days were torture, just like Tantalus wanted. First, there was Tyson moving into the Poseidon cabin, giggling to himself every 15 seconds, saying, "Percy's my brother?" Just like he'd won the lottery. Tyson, I'd say, it's not that simple. But there was no explaining it to him. He was in heaven, and me, as much as I liked the big guy, I couldn't help feeling embarrassed. Ashamed, even. There, I said it. My father, the all-powerful Poseidon, had gotten moony-eyed for some nature spirit, and Tyson had been the result. I'd read the myths about Cyclops. I even remembered that they were often Poseidon's children, but I never really processed it. This made them my family. Until I had Tyson living with me in the next bunk, that is. And then there were the comments from the other campers. Suddenly, I wasn't Percy Jackson, the cool guy who'd retrieved Zeus's lightning bolt last summer. Now I was Percy Jackson, the poor schmuck with the ugly monster for a brother. "He's not my real brother," I protested whenever Tyson wasn't around. "He's more like a half-brother on the monster side of the family, like a half-brother twice removed or something." Nobody bought it. I admit, I was angry with my dad. I felt like being his son was now a joke. Annabeth tried to make me feel better. She suggested we team up for the chariot race to take our minds off our problems. I mean, don't get me wrong. We both hated Tantalus, and we were worried sick about camp. But we didn't know what to do about it. Until we could come up with some brilliant plan to save Talia's tree, we figured we might as well go along with the races. After all, Annabeth's mom, Athena, had invented the chariot, and my dad had created horses. Together, we would own that track. One morning, Annabeth and I were sitting by the canoe lake sketching chariot designs when some jokers from Aphrodite's cabin walked by and asked me if I needed to borrow some eyeliner for my eye. "Oh, sorry," they would say. "We mean eyes." As they walked away laughing, Annabeth grumbled, "Ugh, just ignore them, Percy. It isn't your fault you have a monster for a brother." "Ugh, he's not my brother," I snapped, "and he's not a monster either." Annabeth raised her eyebrows. "Hey, don't get mad at me. And technically, yeah, he is a monster." "Well, you gave him permission to enter the camp." "Yeah, because it was the only way to save your life. I mean, I'm sorry, Percy. I didn't expect Poseidon to claim him. Cyclops are the most deceitful, treacherous..." "He is not," I said. "What have you got against Cyclops anyway?" Annabeth's ears turned pink. I got the feeling there was something she wasn't telling me. Something bad. "Just forget it," she said. "Now the axle for this chariot." "You're treating him like he's this horrible thing," I said. "He saved my life." Annabeth threw down her pencil and stood. "Well, then maybe you should design a chariot with him." "Maybe I should," I said. "Fine. Fine." She stormed off and left me feeling even worse than before. The next couple of days, I tried to keep my mind off of my problems. Selena Beauregard, one of the nicer girls from Aphrodite's cabin, gave me my first riding lesson on a Pegasus. She explained that there was only one immortal winged horse named Pegasus, who still wandered free somewhere in the skies, but over the eons, he'd sired a lot of children. None quite so fast or heroic, but all named after the first and the greatest. Himself. Being the son of the sea god, I never liked going into the air. My dad had this rivalry with Zeus, so I tried to stay out of the Lord of the Skies domain as much as possible. But riding a winged horse felt different. It didn't make me nearly as nervous as being in an airplane. Maybe that was because my dad had created horses out of sea foam, so the Pegasi were sort of neutral territory. I could understand their thoughts. I wasn't surprised when my Pegasus went galloping over the treetops or chased a flock of seagulls into a cloud. The problem was that Tyson wanted to ride the chicken... Oh, Tyson. The problem was that Tyson wanted to ride the chicken ponies, too, but the Pegasi got skittish whenever he approached. I told them telepathically that Tyson wouldn't hurt them, but they didn't seem to believe me, and, well, that made Tyson cry. The only person at camp who had no problem with Tyson was Beckendorf from the Hephaestus cabin. The blacksmith god had always worked with Cyclops in his forges, so Beckendorf took Tyson down to the armory to teach him metalworking. He said he'd have Tyson crafting magic items like a master in no time. After lunch, I worked out in the arena with Apollo's cabin. Swordplay had always been my strength. People said I was better at it than any camper in the last 100 years. Well, except maybe Luke. People always compared me to Luke. I thrashed the Apollo guys easily. I shouldn't have been testing myself against the Ares and Athena cabins since they had the best sword fighters, but I didn't get along with Clarice and her siblings. And after my argument with Annabeth, I just didn't want to see her. I went to archery class, even though I was terrible at it. And it wasn't the same without Chiron teaching. In arts and crafts, I started a marble bust of Poseidon, but it started looking like Sylvester Stallone, so I ditched it. I scaled the climbing wall in full lava and earthquake mode, and in evenings I did border patrol. Even though Tantalus had insisted we forget trying to protect the camp, some of the campers had quietly kept it up, working out a schedule during our free times. I sat at the top of Half-Blood Hill and watched the dryads come and go, singing to the dying pine tree. Satyrs brought their reed pipes and played nature magic songs, and for a while, the pine needles seemed to get fuller. The flowers on the hill smelled a little sweeter, and the grass looked greener. But as soon as the music stopped, the sickness crept back into the air. The whole hill seemed to be infected, dying from the poison that had sunk into the tree's roots. The longer I sat there, the angrier I got. Luke had done this. I remembered his sly smile, the dragon claw scar across his face. He'd pretended to be my friend, and the whole time he'd been Cronus's #1 servant. I opened the palm of my hand, and the scar Luke had given me last summer was fading, but I could still see it. A white, asterisk-shaped wound where his pit scorpion had stung me. I thought about what Luke had told me right before he tried to kill me. Goodbye, Percy. There's a new golden age coming. You won't be a part of it. Well, at night, I had more dreams of Grover. Sometimes I just heard snatches of his voice. Once I heard him say, "It's here." Another time, "He likes sheep." I thought about telling Annabeth about my dreams, but I would have felt stupid. I mean, he likes sheep. She would have thought I was crazy. The night before the race, Tyson and I finished our chariot. Oh, it was wicked cool. Tyson had made the metal parts in the armory's forges. I'd sanded the wood and put the carriage together. It was blue and white with wave designs on the sides and a trident painted on the front. After all that work, it seemed only fair that Tyson would ride shotgun with me, though I knew the horses wouldn't like it, and Tyson's extra weight would slow us down. As we were turning in for bed, Tyson said, "Are you mad?" I realized I'd been scowling. Nah, I'm not mad. He lay down in his bunk and was quiet in the dark. His body was too long for his bed, and he pulled up the covers. His feet stuck out the bottom. "I'm a monster." "Don't say that." "It's okay. I'll be a good monster. Then you will not have to be mad." I didn't know what to say. I stared at the ceiling and felt like I was dying slowly, right along with Talia's tree. It's just, I never had a half-brother before. I tried to keep my voice from cracking. It's really different for me, and I'm worried about the camp and another friend of mine, Grover, and he might be in trouble. I keep feeling like I should be doing something to help, but I don't know what. Tyson said nothing. "I'm sorry," I told him. "It's not your fault. I'm mad at Poseidon. I feel like he's trying to embarrass me, like he's trying to compare us or something, and I don't understand why." Well, I heard a deep rumbling sound. Tyson was snoring. I sighed. "Well, good night, big guy." And I closed my eyes too. In my dream, Grover was wearing a wedding dress. It didn't fit him very well. The gown was too long and the hem was caked with dried mud. The neckline kept falling off his shoulders, and a tattered veil covered his face. He was standing in a dank cave lit only by torches. There was a cot in one corner and an old-fashioned loom in the other, a length of white cloth half woven on the frame, and he was staring right at me, like I was a TV program he'd been waiting for. "Thank the gods!" he yelped. "Can you hear me?" My dream self was slow to respond. I was still looking around, taking in the stalactite ceiling, the stench of sheep and goats, the growling and grumbling and bleating sounds that seemed to echo from behind a refrigerator-sized boulder, which was blocking the room's only exit, as if there was a much larger cavern beyond it. "Percy," Grover said, "please, I don't have the strength to project any better. You have to hear me." "I hear you," I said. "Grover, what's going on?" From behind the boulder, a monstrous voice yelled, "Honey Pie, are you done yet?" Grover flinched. He called out in a falsetto, "Not quite, dearest, a few more days." "Bah, hasn't it been 2 weeks yet?" "No, dearest, just 5 days. That leaves 12 more to go." The monster was silent, maybe trying to do the math. He must have been worse at arithmetic than I was, because he said, "All right, but hurry. I want to see under the veil. Ha!" Grover turned back to me. "You have to help me. No time. I'm stuck in this cave on an island in the sea." "Where?" "I don't know exactly. I went to Florida and I turned left." "What? How did you—" "It's a trap," Grover said. "It's the reason no satyrs ever return from his quest. He's a shepherd, Percy, and he has it. It's nature magic is so powerful it smells just like the great god Pan. The satyrs come here thinking they've found Pan, and they get trapped, and they get eaten by Polyphemus." "Polly who?" "The Cyclops," Grover said, exasperated. "Ugh, I almost got away. I made it all the way to St. Augustine." "But he followed you?" I said, remembering my dream. "And he trapped you. He trapped you in a bridal boutique." "That's right," Grover said. "My first empathy link must have worked then with that dream. Look, this bridal dress is the only thing keeping me alive. He thinks I smell good, but I told him it was just goat-scented perfume. Thank goodness he can't see very well. His eye is still half blind from the last time somebody poked it out, but soon he'll realize what I am. He's only giving me 2 weeks to finish the bridal train, and he's getting impatient." "Wait a minute. This Cyclops thinks you're—" "Yes," Grover wailed. "He thinks I'm a lady Cyclops and he wants to marry me." Well, under different circumstances, I might have busted out laughing, but Grover's voice was deadly serious. He was shaking in fear. "I'll come rescue you, I promised. Where are you?" "The Sea of Monsters, of course." Get it now? "The Sea of what?" "I told you, I don't know exactly where. And look, Percy, I'm really sorry about this. But this empathy link, well, I had no choice. Our emotions are connected now. If I die—" "Oh, Grover, please don't tell me I die too." "Well, perhaps not. You might live for years in a vegetative state, but it would be a lot better if you got me out of here." "Honey pie!" the monster bellowed. "Dinner time! Yummy, yummy sheep meat!" Grover whimpered. "Oh, I have to go. Hurry, Percy." "Wait, you said it was there. What's it?" But Grover's voice was already growing fainter. "Sweet dreams. Don't let me die." The dream faded and I woke with a start. It was early morning. Tyson was staring down at me, his one big brown eye full of concern. "You okay?" he asked. His voice sent a chill down my back because he sounded almost exactly like the monster I'd heard in Grover's dream. The morning of the race was hot and humid. Fog lay low on the ground like sauna steam. Millions of birds were roosting in the trees, fat gray and white pigeons, except they didn't coo like regular pigeons. They made this annoying metallic screeching sound that reminded me of submarine radar. I don't know if I can... Ah! Ah! That was actually pretty good. I won't do it again. The racetrack had been built in a grassy field between the archery range and the woods. Hephaestus's cabin had used the bronze bulls, which were completely tame since they'd had their heads smashed in, to plow an oval track in a matter of minutes. There were rows of stone steps for the spectators, Tantalus, the satyrs, a few dryads, and all the campers who weren't participating. Mr. D didn't show. He never got up before 10 o'clock. "Right," Tantalus announced as the teams began to assemble. A naiad had brought him a big platter of pastries, and as Tantalus spoke, his right hand chased a chocolate eclair across the judges' table. Remember, Tantalus, his curse is he can't eat or drink. So every time he even tries to sneakily reach for something to drink or something to eat, it runs or flies away from him. So he's constantly trying to chase food because his curse is he can't actually do it. So you all know the rules. A 1/4-mile track, twice around to win. 2 horses per chariot. Each team will consist of a driver and a fighter. Weapons are allowed. Dirty tricks are expected. But try not to kill anybody. Tantalus smiled at us like we were all naughty children. Any killing will result in harsh punishment. No s'mores at the campfire for a week. Now, ready your chariots. Beckendorf led the Hephaestus team onto the track. They had a sweet ride made of bronze and iron, even the horses, which were magical automatons like the Colchis bulls. I had no doubt that their chariot had all kinds of mechanical traps and more fancy options than a fully loaded Maserati. The Ares chariot was blood red and pulled by 2 grizzly horse skeletons. Clarice climbed aboard with a batch of javelins, spiked balls, caltrops, and a bunch of other nasty toys. Apollo's chariot was trim and graceful and completely gold. pulled by two beautiful palominos. Their fighter was armed with a bow, though he'd promised not to shoot regular pointed arrows at the opposing drivers. Hermes' chariot was green and kind of old-looking, as if it hadn't been out of the garage in years. It didn't look like anything special, but it was manned by the Stoll brothers, and I shuddered to think what dirty tricks they'd schemed up. That left two chariots, one driven by Annabeth and the other driven by me. Before the race began, I tried to approach Annabeth and tell her about my dream. She perked up when I mentioned Grover, but when I told her what he'd said, she seemed to get distant again, suspicious. "You're trying to distract me," she decided. "What? No, I'm not." "Oh, right, like Grover would just happen to stumble across the one thing that could save the camp?" "Wait, what do you mean?" She rolled her eyes at me. "Go back to your chariot, Percy." "I'm not making this up. Annabeth, he's in trouble." She hesitated. I could tell she was trying to decide whether or not to trust me. Despite our occasional fights, we'd been through a lot together. And I know she would never want anything bad to happen to Grover. "Percy, an empathy link is so hard to do. I mean, it's more likely you were really just dreaming." "The Oracle," I said. "We could consult the Oracle." Annabeth frowned. Last summer before my quest, I'd visited the strange spirit that lived in the bakehouse attic, and it had given me a prophecy that came true in ways I'd never expected. The experience had freaked me out for months. Annabeth knew I'd never suggest going back there if I wasn't completely serious. Before she could answer, the conch horn sounded. "Charioteers," Tantalus called, "to your mark." "We'll talk later," Annabeth said. "After I win," she said to me with a bit of a smirk. As I was walking back to my own chariot, I noticed how many more pigeons there were in the trees now, screeching like crazy, making the whole forest rustle. Nobody else seemed to be paying them much attention, but they made me nervous. Their beaks glinted strangely, and their eyes seemed shinier than regular birds. Tyson was having trouble getting our horses under control. I had to talk to them a long time before they would settle down. "He's a monster, Lord," they complained to me. "He's son of Poseidon," I told them, just like me. "No," they insisted. "Monster. He's a horse-eater. He's not to be trusted." "I'll give you sugar cubes at the end of the race," I said. "Sugar cubes?" "Oh, yes, very big sugar cubes. And apples. Did I mention the apples?" Well, finally, they agreed to let me harness them. Now, if you've ever seen a Greek chariot, it's built for speed, not for safety or comfort. It's basically a wooden basket open at the back, mounted on an axle between two wheels. Oh, I need to shift. The driver stands up the whole time. Ooh, ow. I poked my foot against the stool. I lost my spot. You guys, this has been going so well, too. We'll just start from here. Now, if you've ever seen a Greek chariot, it's built for speed, not safety or comfort. It's basically a wooden basket, open at the back, mounted on an axle between two wheels. The driver stands up the whole time, and you can feel every bump in the road. The carriage is made of such light wood that if you wipe out making the hairpin turns at either end of the track, you'll probably tip over and crush both of the chariot and yourself. It's an even better rush than skateboarding. I took the reins and maneuvered the chariot to the starting line. I gave Tyson a 10-foot pole and told him that his job was to push the other chariots away if they got too close, and to deflect anything that might try to be thrown at us. "No hitting ponies with the stick," he insisted. "Yep, that's right," I agreed. "Or people, either, if, you can help it. We're going to run a clean race. Just keep the distractions away and let me concentrate on driving." "We will win," he beamed. Oh, we're so going to lose, I thought to myself. But I had to try. I'm sorry, guys. I just gotta... Oh, there we go. I had a message come through. I wanted to show the others. Well, I wasn't sure what exactly I wanted to show the others, but I wanted to show them something. Maybe I wanted to show them that Tyson wasn't such a bad guy. Or maybe I was wanting to show them that I wasn't ashamed of being seen with him in public. Maybe I wanted to show them that they hadn't hurt me with all their jokes and their name-calling. Well, as the chariots lined up, more shiny-eyed pigeons gathered in the woods. Oh, they were screeching so loudly the campers in the stands were starting to take notice, glancing nervously at the trees, which shivered under the weight of the birds. Tantalus didn't look concerned, but he did have to speak up to be heard over the noise. "Charioteers," he shouted, "attend your mark." He waved his hand and the starting signal dropped. The chariots roared to life. Hooves thundered against the dirt. The crowd cheered. Almost immediately, there was a loud, nasty crack. I looked back in time to see the Apollo chariot flip over. The Hermes chariot had rammed into it, maybe by mistake. Maybe not. The riders were thrown free, but their panicked horses dragged the golden chariot diagonally across the track. The Hermes team, Travis and Connor Stoll, were laughing at their good luck, but not for long. The Apollo horses crashed into theirs, and the Hermes chariot flipped too, leaving a pile of broken wood and 4 rearing horses in the dust. Oh my goodness. I have 4% battery. I'm going to make another video for part 2. Goodness. Bye.